What is going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today when I talk to you about SoundHound. It's been a while since I've done a SoundHound video, but I want to go over some of the data points, what short's been up to, and where I see it going from here. Before I get into any of that, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So starting off, SoundHound did go down 2.9%. Did have a low of 432 and a high of 457. So a lot of volatility. And over the last 5 days alone, it is down 8.02%. Largely just piggybacking off of the broader markets, which did have a very horrific week. So the worst one in basically 2 years. So I think in general, SoundHound's kind of holding up relatively okay. You can kind of take that with a grain of salt. And the reason why I'm saying that is my last several SoundHound videos, I always did bring up one negative because it's a hybrid stock, right? We already know it's an AI play, a momentum, as well as a squeeze play. But one thing it largely was missing out on was capital getting in, because for a momentum stock, you need capital, a lot of institutions to buy in. And yeah, basically over the last several trading days, there has been a abnormal amount of buying occurring both on the dark pool, which is this right here, as well as the secondary market. So even though it is selling off, in comparison to a lot of other growth stocks, it is doing pretty good. So these are some of the transactions that did occur on the dark pool. Above $100,000 on Friday. These are the ones from Thursday, Wednesday, and so forth. So big money is kind of looking at SoundHound. So generally that is somewhat positive. You guys can take that as a negative if you see fit. But as of right now, the fear and greed index is under the fear category. So usually momentum plays aren't getting jack all. If anything, institutions are kind of taking a step back. And I cover quite a few different stocks, many different channels, and one common thing that's been happening over this last little bit with the fear in the market is capital is leaving. So that's not necessarily happening with SoundHound. So again, that's something positive if you want to think about it as that. There has been a couple updates. One did come out on September the 5th. So it looks like it's just more customization tools coming from, I guess, the actual automotive company itself. So I think that's good, a good addition. Is this a reason to buy SoundHound because of this news? I'd say not so much, nor is it a reason to sell. It's just good FYI. It shows that they're working on kind of moving to the next level. And so I see that as good. And maybe this might incentivize more actual automotive companies to jump on board. And obviously, I think everyone wants the big bad Tesla to really move towards SoundHound, and that would be huge. But beside the point, one thing that is coming up next week is this. So on the 29th, they did announce that they're participating in 2 events in September. And so the first one is going to be here. So that H.C. Wainwright Annual Global Investment Conference, that's going to be at 10:30 Pacific. And I was thinking about looking at it, obviously live streaming if necessary, but it's that one should be a little bit longer because it says in addition SoundHound will participate in one-on-one investor meetings in both of those conferences. So the second one is going to be on September the 11th. So most likely those fireside chats are around 15 minutes. This one itself might be a full presentation. So that one might be a little bit longer. So yeah, I was thinking about kind of live streaming that. If you'd be interested, let me know. Of course, SoundHound and H.C. Wainwright. H.C. Wainwright is one of the bulls in SoundHound, as you can kind of see from the latest analyst ratings. So Scott, H.C. Wainwright, a $7 price target. Have been saying that time and time again. They've always reiterated that, even when SoundHound initially, before it did have its very first breakout, like H.C. Wainwright was always bullish on them. So again, that's maybe one thing that it might lead to some good catalyst of some sort potentially. So again, that is coming out on Monday. Aside from that though, it's just kind of stuck in limbo. Shorts have been having their field day because the broader market is in panic mode. So shorts right now, 25.4% of the free float is being shorted, works out to be 80.42 million shares. 245,000 shares were increased on Friday. Utilization 98.32, short score. So the higher the number, the higher the likelihood of a squeeze happening is 78.61. And so as you can kind of see, just generally shorts have been starting to enter back in. So they did have a high right here of around 27%. kind of lowered it. So they returned some shares at the beginning of August, and so lowered it to 24.18, and now they're starting to get back in. So we'll just have to wait and see if there is possibly all-time high numbers once again hitting. But like I said, shorts are kind of having their field day with the broader market, not just with SoundHound, but they can pretty much choose any stock out there, and it has been generally going down. So they've been kind of taking advantage of that. But aside from that, moving on to options, kind of low dollar value on Friday. So 684,000 in calls, 715,000 in puts. 65% of all the options being done though were bearish. So again, I'm going to break that down a little bit further, but of the call options that were purchased, you do see a consensus for it to be above roughly that 450 for the most part, and even 450 for January 17th, 2025. For the puts though, you do see a consensus for it to be kind of sub, roughly around that $4 range. For the next several weeks. So clearly, based on this, there is a little bit more downside anticipated. This is the current open interest for the calls. So you don't really see much activity for this upcoming week for the September 13th expiry date. September 20th is a little bit more popular. That is linked to, or I guess that's because of it being a monthly chain. So you have 14,000 at that 5, 37,000 at that 6, and then 15,000 at that 7. And I believe that's before market makers extended it to add the 50-cent strike prices in between. So yeah, it's interesting. I think the dollar value over this last little bit has been kind of liquidating their options. And so SoundHound's becoming less popular with options and more popular with common stock. So that might be somewhat of a good thing. Let me know your thoughts on that. Right now with it at $4.35, it is trading between this S1 and the pivot. So 418 will be the strong support, and then $4.78 will be that next strong resistance / target. And just to give you a final cap, looking right here, it is lower percentile of the Bollinger Band, below a lot of the key pivotal moving averages. So both the 50 and 100-day moving averages. Stochastic, you do see it very oversold. So if there is a good piece of news, aka from this conference right here, you could see a rush of value investors, more so than what already is happening. So like I said, SoundHound's on institutions' radar, but if they do unveil something very positive at this conference, then yes, definitely this could really incentivize some buying. So that's one attribute that could be happening. Number of retail investors have been getting out overall, and you can tell that based on the momentum indicator. So all in all, in my opinion, I do feel if subtract this, the broader market is really going to continue to add a lot of selling pressure to SoundHound. But with the level of institutions that are buying, you do know that these support levels are going to be pretty strong. So I feel like in reality, it might touch this S1 possibly, and then dependent on the level of fear in the market, it might push below that. But this S2 has been the saving grace for SoundHound even in the past. So historically, that is going to be a good point to really watch for. So $3.81. I do feel in the next several weeks, most likely that could be touched. But again, I think that might really incentivize on a technical level a good reversal. And we already do know in SoundHound's case, when it does reverse, it definitely means business. It goes up. So that's just my quick overview of SoundHound, the technicals, shorts, and everything else. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. One final thing, take advantage of this promo. Simply sign up for a new account, throw $100 at it. They give you 5 free stocks. Each stock is valued up to $2,000. So take advantage of this. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.